In this video, we're going to continue working with blueprints, and I want to show you how to do some triggers with a projectile. In particular, I want to show you how to check to see what type of object has done a thing, and I think that's going to be really important. So what I want to make is let's say, a light on the wall that I can shoot with my first-person shooter gun, and every time I shoot the light and hit it with a projectile, it will toggle on or off. So to do that, the first thing I need is I'm going to go to my starter content right down here. I'm going to find right here the blueprint wall sconce. You could use a static mesh, it doesn't really matter. What's important to me is I want a very visible object to hit, and I want some light attached to it. You could build this, it really wouldn't make a difference, but since this one's already built. And what I want to do, since I'm going to make some changes to this, I'm going to duplicate this blueprint. So right click, duplicate, and I'm going to call this BP underscore wall sconce light toggle, like that. I'm going to save. And then I'm going to drag this over into my project mechanics just so I can keep track of it. We'll move it, not copy. Now that we have this, we're going to drag it onto the wall. Once we have it there, we're just going to reposition it. I pressed E and I'm rotating. Get a 90 degree. Okay, so what I want to do in concept is I want to fire a projectile, and I want to test if the projectile collided with the collision on this static mesh. And if it did, I want to toggle the light on and off. So to do that, I'm going to double click my blueprint, this wall sconce, and this is what I need right here. This static mesh lamp wall, this could be anything. We could actually swap this out if we want to be a different static mesh. If you want to rebuild this, you could add a static mesh component and then select the lamp wall. Either way, once we have it, this works for the demo. I need to test if something has collided with this thing. And this is going to be a little bit different because instead of being a trigger, this is an actual collider, like a blocking. So I'm going to select my static mesh component over here. And I want to show you one more interesting thing is if I scroll down the very bottom, you'll see all these events. This is a really handy way of finding what events can be attached to a blueprint or a component or whatever. And it's a really easy way of letting me know what I have access to. Now there's a few things here, and my computer's struggling a little bit. There's a few things here. There's an on-component hit and an on-component begin overlap. We've been using begin overlap, which is useful for triggers, but in this case, I actually want to call an event when two objects collide. So you might think when a player is touching the wall or something that they can't move through, and that's going to be a hit. I want to make sure I have my static mesh selected and then select on component hit, and we'll get this. And it's very similar to the overlap again, but this is just when they touch, not when they're overlapping, which is what we would want as a trigger. On component hit, the other thing I want to test and see if it's the projectile. Now, if you look through your project assets, and I know this already because I've dug through here, you can go through the tutorial and it will walk you through what blueprints do what. But this is our first person projectile. This could be anything if we were making our own game. It could be a missile or whatever. This is the thing that we're firing out when we hit the play button and we left click. And I want to test to see if an instance of this specific blueprint has collided with this thing. So to do that, we would call that casting. And if I drag off of other actor and I say cast space 2, and then I start typing in the name of the other type of class I want to test for. So in this case, it's called first person projectile right there. And what I'm doing here is I'm casting to this. So now I have access to this, the functionality of this object. For any Unity users, this would be similar to a get component. If I wanted to get a component of type first person projectile or whatever, I want to test that other object. So once I cast to this other object, if I don't find anything, it's going to be null or just doesn't matter. And if I find something, I want to then do it. So in this case, if we cast and test to see is the other object the first person projectile, right? Other actor. And if it is, I want to do a thing. So first, let's test it. I'm going to drag off and say print. We'll say hit the light. Compile, save. Then we will minimize and go into our game. Hit play. Now, okay, you can see if we hit the light, we know that we're hitting that point in our blueprint, which is pretty cool. At this point, we could do anything we want, but I think it would be interesting to turn on and off the light as a test. So I'm going to delete this print string right here. And because this is all inside of an actor blueprint, remember that in actor blueprints, we have easy access to our components. If it's not a component and it's somewhere else in the level, it's a little bit trickier. So in this case, I do have my light as a part of my blueprint. And if we were building this ourselves, we would just go into the viewport and add a light. This one's pre-configured, and you can see it even has some handy gizmos and things inside of our scene. But in this case, all I need to do is grab a reference like that. And now we have access to this light that's attached to our blueprint actor. Now from there, there's a few things we could do. If we just wanted to toggle the light, we could just do set toggle. Set toggle visibility. Yeah, toggle visibility. We could do this if we wanted, and it should turn on and off the light. But I want to show you something else because this will be a little bit more modular. Is if I drag off and I select, I believe it's called flip-flop. This node, you can read it here, but alternates between A and B outputs. And what I want to do is each time the light is hit, I want to do this and then do that, and then do this and then do that. Well, in this case, it would just be turn the light on, and then B would be turn the light off, which is essentially what the toggle would be doing anyways. But if I show you this method, then you could do this for other things. So play door open or play elevator start. And then B would be, the next time you hit the trigger, would be play elevator reverse or play elevator stop. So you can do some other things with that, and I didn't want to rely on a single function. And just to show you, we'll just do set visibility here, but just know the easier way to do this with a light would be toggle, point light 1, okay. So A, we want the new visibility to be on, and we'll just copy paste this here. B, missed my input. B, we want the new visibility to be off. So then again, what this is doing, if our light static mesh is hit, not overlapped, if it's hit, I want to test and see if it was the first person projectile. And if it was, then continue. First time it's hit, do A. Second time, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, and so forth. So let's give that a test. Hit play. Okay, starts as on. Okay, see, every single time we hit it, it will toggle, and this is pretty cool because at this point with this setup, we could make any sort of triggers that react to a projectile that we want, right? You could start and stop some elevators, play some animations, and so forth. Pretty cool little mechanic here that hopefully you can use in other parts of your level. And I think a good introduction into casting and why that's important and how it can be used, as well as the flip-flop node will give you some quick access to some toggles.